Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning, or I should say good afternoon. This is another episode or meeting of the Calext Congress where you, the public, can ask questions of us, or you can come to a meeting and consider joining us. The Calext Congress determines the direction of the Cal Exit movement. This is our weekly meeting where we meet other secession leaders, other movements, talk about current news, talk about progress with what Yes California, Cal Exit's doing, and etc. Rich, thanks. Nice to see you. Device is not connected. We're going to get into an update on where we're at, what's going on, and what's going on in the news, and our next plans for the upcoming future in just a second. But please check this out. I want to start off saying ask any question. So if the public has any question that they'd like to ask, you can post that up in comments and we'll take it. Rich, hola a todos. Again, having lunch. Please continue. Absolutely, Rich, we will. So if you want to ask questions, go ahead and ask questions. But let's get into where we're at. So coming soon, we have a documentary by Awfully Nice. Awfully Nice has done different documentaries for Lifetime Network, etc. They have done about 5 to 7 interviews with Yes California members and other California secessionists. And I got confirmation that the documentary, we'll see, but it should primarily feature Yes California, and we'll definitely be talking about the Calext movement. Should be out in September. Right before midterms. That's excellent. French Channel 5 also contacted us and also wants to do an interview. We are talking with them. We also found a videographer in the Fresno area who has access to the auditorium at Bitwise Stadium, and we're going to try to set up what we would call our own TED Talks. So you have a person in an auditorium with lighting and sound and everything, and you can't really see the audience, but they can speak to them, and it gives a higher level of gravitas. So we're in talks to set that up to where Jason, myself, and anybody else in Yes who wants to speak could give like a speech on why we should Cal Exit, and we could make it look like a TED Talk. We're also still working on the Texas Envoy trip. That's Jason, the Cal Exit Envoy, traveling to Texas. Jason already got confirmation from the Texas Nationalist Movement that they were interested, and he was working on details. More of that's coming on, and we will continue to start working on our counter arguments movie/white paper. Basically, the argumentation as to why Cal Exit couldn't happen. We have a lot of counter arguments to that, and we were thinking about releasing another book, an updated Cal Exit book, because we haven't released one in a few years with that. What we could also do is take the slides that go into the white paper and put it in a PowerPoint and then load that into YouTube. So that what we could have is a PowerPoint and a white paper that have the same data slides, and one's a movie and one's a white paper for review. So that's all coming up. Documentary, Channel 5, international interview, TED Talk, like situation in auditorium, Texas Envoy trip, counter arguments, movie, white paper. In addition to the fact that we have the website up, the courses are available, the merch is available, and we'll have coins soon. Let's take some comments real quick. Scott Boykin. Hey, Scott, we appreciate it. How soon can you secede? I'll help you pack. Really appreciate it. We do. We appreciate that. So Scott, this is what we've been saying, is that Americans will vote us out, right? That liberals in California who say that we cannot get the votes to secede are wrong. We can. Devil War, what's the new currency look like in California? Daniel Santoro, nice. Daniel, always good to see you again. Daniel Santoro, my question is, do you think Baja or Nevada should join the California Republic? Scott Boykin asks, how soon can you secede? I'll help you pack. As we do, I want to invite people to the show. If you want to come on, here you go, come on the show. Mike, he's talking crap. Scott, yeah, I get it. But hey, people want to talk crap. I'm always like, say it to my face. Let's debate. So we just invited people to the show. We'll see if they show up. We always like having guests. want you to feel that you can express your opinion here, and we won't edit it and it'll go out. However, we always reserve the right to point out our points, which sometimes, people think they got it right. They're going to come on here and slam us, and then they end up looking silly when we actually explain the facts to them live on video. So you are welcome to participate. Just recognize we participate too, and we're massively better informed than most people. So, but you're always welcome. Scott, come on the show. And we love the support. Honestly, we love the support from Americans saying we're ready to get you the hell out of here, because that's what we've been saying. Okay, I want to do an update.
Well, real quick, if I could, Marcus.
Yeah.
I would like to address one of the actual questions. So, as far as Baja, Nevada, other entities, right? What it would take is California, first and foremost. California would have to be independent, its own republic once again. At that point in time, should Oregon, Nevada, Baja California, should any of these other entities wish to enter into a, for lack of better terminology, national partnership, it would be up to them. It's not something we can really say yes or no on, right? It would be our elected officials and their elected officials, and hopefully both sets of elected officials are acting appropriately in accordance with their constituents. So if California was independent and Californians overwhelmingly said, "Viva todos Californios," these people down here in Baja are just as much Californians as we are. Californians and Baja Californians are the only people in the world who are Californians. Just like Texans are the only people in the world who are Texans. And then, you got the Tejano difference. So, if Californians were to decide that we love our brothers and sisters of California and that we would gladly welcome them back into the fold as Todos California, then it would be up to our sitting officials and their sitting officials to come to an agreement and make a legal document that reflects this. Then it's pretty much done. But as far as personally, me, Jason Wright, personally, I see great benefit for both the people of Baja and the people of Alta. All of us Californians, we really could prosper together. And sure, California, Alta California, our California, could do it. We don't need Baja, sure. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't look into it. I mean, you got to think there are not a whole lot of people, and that is quite a big stretch of land. It is one of the largest peninsulas in the world. It's got the Gulf of California. Yeah, California doesn't get the Gulf of California. Baja California does. So it's one thing that, yes, hi, Kathy Glover.
We have more comments.
You're a joke too. So ultimately, it would most likely be in the best interest of all Californians were America to let go of the stranglehold they have on us at the same time Mexico lets go of the stranglehold that they have on Baja. And for those who don't know, you can readily look it all up. MIBC, M as in Mary, I, B as in boy, C as in cat, kitty cat. They are much like California in regards to their relationship with Mexico than many other cases that I've seen. Like Scotland is to the United Kingdom as Baja is to Mexico, as California is to the United States of America, as Catalonia is to Spain, the fascist dictatorship of Spain. Okay, I guess maybe the guy's not as hardcore fascist as Franco, but he's there. I don't kid myself. When it comes to fascists, I cannot. I know the United States says these are our friends and those are our enemies. Everyone has to fall in line. Okay, enemies are enemies, friends are friends. But America doesn't always seem to do the research and doesn't seem to, always get it right. And hey, to err is human, right? We're all humans. We're not a bunch of Vladimir Putin bots. So I expect a little bit of error. And no one in the federal government should be wholly unwilling to admit to error because it just says you're human and that you're, not a AI Putin bot or whatever. These 600 tall laser beams from the eyes, flamethrower breath, chainsaws for arms.
Okay. Yeah. There's other questions, by the way.
I know. I'm just trying to mellowly kind of dramatize the point of right now in America, you're either a Putin bot or you're an Ameribot. And right now, some of the allies America has picked are fascists. I thought America and democracy, democratic process, all of the good stuff, thought it was pretty much the antithesis of fascism. But, hey, like I said, America doesn't always get it right. And so, while they're like, hey, Spain, hey, this other one that kind of rhymes with Spain, while they're going around and, making friends with people, just look very closely who those friends are and, make absolutely sure that you can feel good, you can sleep well at night, having supported some of these people. Or we could Calext it now and not have to worry about all that. California's friends will be California's friends. And we won't have to fall in line with a Maribot or Putin bot. We can be like, hey, we're just Californians. We're not bots of any kind. And we like to think for ourselves. We like to fully research and do all of our homework before just jumping into bed with someone. Especially a country that's like, in the middle of warfare, and like maybe not half, but seems like an inappropriate ratio of America's friends, allies, are currently engaging in warfare, if not in their own home area, than somewhere else in the world. And a lot of California doesn't really support that. You know who else I've come to find out doesn't really support extraterritorial warfare? Most of Central America. It's almost like they've been through that sort of thing maybe more than once. Maybe recently, all the way back to very distant past. So I think I'm cool with having Baja rejoin California, should they choose, should we choose, should we all choose. I think they will be a much, much better ally. And again, not a whole lot of people, decent amount of land, but it's not like it stretches, 3,000 miles from side to side or anything. It's just, it's beautiful. It's got some strategic value, whatnot, but ultimately, the way I see it is they're all still Californians anyway. Now, Nevada, I hear a lot of interesting stuff about, the Vegas money. Everyone, everyone loves to talk about that good old Vegas money. Personally, I'm kind of up in the air. Most of Nevada is very, very dry, very arid, which being from a place where it snows every winter, uh, up by Lake Tahoe, which, hey, just short walk and I cross into Nevada. Woohoo! But yeah, being from there, I personally don't do so well with the heat. I know plenty of people like Senor Marcos. Uh, some people do much better with the heat than I do. I just melt into a puddle and I am dead to the world. That being said, look at strategic value, look at things like the population. What are the demographics of that population? Are they all highly uneducated people? Are they fairly educated people? Are they cultured people? What percentage of the people speak more than one language? These are all things to consider because these are all. Oh, Marcus cut out. There he is. These are all things to consider because these are all things that add to what we are, what we have, what we will be, right? And the same with, Oregon, Washington, the whole potential nation of Pacifica, independent California, independent Oregon, independent Washington, Baja rejoins California or not, or, whatever, independent Hawaii, all of these entities, maybe an independent Nevada, all of these entities join together into a new union, a new national union, right? And I mean, I'll throw it out there. A lot of people like to disagree with me on it, but I always try to include Alaska. Alaska is another one of those places. A lot of land, a lot of resource, not a whole lot of people. It would be worth it to the Union to have places like those. Whether or not Alaskans or Hawaiians or even Baja Californians or Nevadans, whether or not they want to do it, I don't know. I wish I was a better fortune teller. It definitely would have saved us from some of the snafus of the past. That being said, no one's perfect. To err is human. And all we can really do is acknowledge our humanity and say, I don't exactly know. Personally, I'm not opposed to these sorts of ideas. I find them very inspiring, partly because we've moved on from the conversation of should California reestablish itself as an independent nation. We've moved past that. This whole topic is under the assumption that we have done that. So, in a way, it's moving past the old point while also talking about the future and trying to maybe not plan the future, but trying to look at it sensibly, reasonably, to really figure out, well, would California being an independent republic again, would that like bring about the end of the world? Is that going to destroy all time space? Or is it maybe going to be something beneficial? We can look at all of this while asking ourselves these questions. The question of currency comes up regularly. Well, the United States dollar has been collapsing for quite some time, and it seems like that snowball hit terminal velocity and it went over the cliff. It's not just, trying to make an avalanche anymore. It's now over the cliff and has been free falling and is now at the point of terminal velocity. It cannot get any faster. Now, with the United States dollar doing all that, being all that, I'm pretty certain that most Californians would prefer to see us have our own currency. Is that up to me to say? No. Is it something that I am willing to say, we will have our own? No, I am not, because it's not up to me. All we can really do is think about these things logically, rationally, and explore them. Some years ago, we were doing great things. We had a very, very large core group of the movement. And a lot of people just wanted to get bogged down with basically trying to write legislation for an independent California before California ever regains its independence, before, like, it's not even certain if the thing's going to happen. We're closer than ever before. It seems like it's going to happen. But we still can't say for certain that it absolutely will. This is a guarantee, right? We can't say that. So spending the next 2 years trying to write attempted legislation that may or may not ever be usable, because, hey, maybe we will reestablish ourselves as an independent country. But if we don't, we can never use any of that, because it's all based on California being an independent country and no longer being under the federal boot of Uncle Sam. So unless we're going to spin our wheels around and around and around, I would just have to say, what's it going to look like? It's going to look like whatever the people want it to look like. The people will decide all of this. Every last thing. Pick an issue or a topic. Any issue or topic. The people will have to decide on that. Well, what about air quality? The people will have to decide on. But what about what color buses we paint for, private schools versus public schools? The people will have to decide on that. What about our water? The people will have to decide on that. Every last question there is, the people will have to decide. And hey, I'm one of those people. You're probably one of those people. So, a little in-depth discussion isn't going to hurt anything unless we let it detract from what we're really trying to do. We've got a step 1, step 2, step 3, and right now we have to focus on step 1. If we don't get to step 1, there will not ever be a step 2, step 3. But, don't let it discourage you. Definitely, while we're lining up the first hop to stepping stone number 1, definitely keep in mind that there are other stones we're going to have to hop to afterwards. Definitely try to, figure out a line to take, a path to take, right? But don't just get stuck standing on shore without ever jumping to that first rock. I hope this is making sense. All right. Well, I'll turn it back over to you, Mark.
Let's just go to another comment. I mean, one of them was by Kathy Roberts Glover, and I asked her to come on the show or join the show, but she completely didn't. Maybe it's because we pointed this out. Why is Calext a joke? Because 32% of 40 million people bought into this, or 15 million of your fellow Californians. She did not respond to that or choose to come on the show or make any comment. So kind of makes you look bad, Kathy. Ron Berger, looks like if this happens, Pelosi can finally become president LMAO. And to which I responded, Ron, despite what the national media says, most Californians don't actually like Nancy Pelosi. She is beloved in her district. But once you go outside of there, it drops off quick. Now, you're not going to see that in the national news. Jason?
She has lost a lot of popularity in San Francisco. She's still able to buy the election and whatnot, but she has lost a lot of popularity. A lot of that came about that time where a certain Great Orange one was looking at being out of office pretty soon. Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, was getting asked about, another round of stimulus checks while the economy is failing, the inflation is skyrocketing, and it's the holidays, and like people just want to be able to get their kids like a Christmas present. And she basically told everyone, well, we can't do it right now because it'll make Trump look good. So just wait it out until he's gone. And then our guy, Biden, the return to decency, is going to come in. And, even Biden campaigned on checks for everyone. Stimulus checks will keep rolling out until this thing is over. When Nancy Pelosi put a stop on it, it never got started back up again. Biden could do it. Pelosi could do it. Hell, the Republicans still have at least that slight little thread over the 50% margin. They could make it happen. And they don't. They're not. For whatever reason, I don't know. Because Trump's not in office anymore to make him look good. So, Pelosi, what's the excuse? A lot of San Francisco would actually like to know this, because in San Francisco, finding gas, regular gas, for $7 a gallon. $7 a gallon. That's kind of a, special treat now. Oh, it's only 7. It's not 7.15. It's not 7.35, 7.45 a gallon. $7 flat, maybe 7.01. Ooh. Being here in Oregon right now, we've been paying $4.65, 4.65 per gallon. And people up here are saying, wow, that is too high. That is too much. Gas is too expensive. Well, definitely don't want to go to San Francisco. Nancy Pelosi's home. Well, sorry, no. Her home's over there on the East Coast, much closer to our vice president who just popped in. Greetings, Rabbi Axelman. Yeah, so I would just say Pelosi, though she's got the bazillions of dollars for unlimited gelato from Italy for life, as well as, continuing to stay as Speaker of the House, whatnot. Aside from that, she doesn't really have the support that she used to. Neither does Gavin Newsom, really. Like, both of them want to go off and be the president of the federal government of the United States of America. I personally know many people, not just Californians, too, who are of the opinion to let those goons go. Let the federal government have them. Get them away from us so that we can secede and succeed. We can get rid of the people who are unwilling to get behind the will of the people and get in new people who will, and then have them exercise the will of the people to Calext it now. I mean, sure, Gavin could do it, but he seems pretty unwilling, and it makes sense. He wants to be the king of the United States. I mean, the president of the United States. I get it. It's a attractive offer. People see lots of dollar signs and piles of gold and get visions of being Scrooge McDuck. But I gotta tell you, anyone who's thinking that that's the lifestyle to have, when you pile a whole bunch of metal coins together and you jump onto them from a high dive, usually you're gonna go splat, because metal doesn't really give much. At least not metal that you're making coin out of.
I know the rabbi wanted to talk about strategy. Perhaps we could address that?
Totally. Please.
Rabbi Axelman, I think you want to have a conversation on strategy? Rabbi Axelman, are you there? Okay, well, I know he wanted to have a conversation on strategy. He asked me, so I thought this would be a good time. We'll wait for him to come back. I did want to point out that I posted up question and answer, and I've been asking anybody to bring up any comments, and nobody this meeting or last meeting bothered to ask about Russia slander. So I find that telling that we've had 2 meetings in a row and nobody on the Twitter or or the 2 Twitter channels, the 2 Facebook channels, or the YouTube channel bothered to say anything or come on the show about that anyway. So
it's interesting because we've lost a few people here and there, and we've been gaining people in like good numbers. I'm not gonna give away the numbers, but we'll just suffice it to say that we have not had this kind of growth in quite some time. And now, I had to point out to some folks on Twitter, yeah, it's been a great week for us too, because y'all keep saying that we're getting looked at by the federal government when we're not. If we were, the federal government would have said it. Duh. They didn't. They didn't say yes, California. They didn't say Calexit. They didn't say any of it. They named a couple of individuals and their names because that's what the investigation's about. Go figure. Plain speech. Now, I point this out to folks and I'm like, yeah, you're all doing for us what we've been unable to get the media to do for us, which is put us up in the top of the headlines and, the trending sections. And hey, it is paid off really well because we've got a lot of new followers. I looked at one of the Twitter pages yesterday, new followers left and right in the notifications. Just like, oh, so-and-so is now following you. Oh, and so else. And, Calex at home, Twitter, gets a lot of Green Party following because I continually put it out there. I signed up for the Global Green Party when I was 18. I got a draft card and voting registration card.
No, you didn't. Stop.
When I was 18 because, as an American citizen born and raised in California, not being a Putin bot, I actually, I was gifted this immense responsibility of partaking in civics. I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, right? Gifted the ability to go fight and die for oil. I mean, some rich corporate executive's paycheck. I mean, for freedom.
There you go. I knew you'd get it. I knew you'd get it.
But pointing out that, yeah, I can see the Demopublicans and the Republicrats are one and the same thing. It's easy for me because I've been a lifelong Green. I'm 36 now. I signed up when I was 18. Hopefully y'all can do the math. That's more than just a year or two of being Green. It's something that I have always felt aligned with, and so I just will always be like that. People kind of catch on to the I am genuine factor, and when they realize I'm genuine and that I'm Green, they realize, oh, so no corporate sellouts, no companies mean more than people, no let the companies profit at the detriment of the people and the planet. Varying things that are actually really very in line with California values. These are the things that I stand for. These are the things I'm about. It's why when I give my number one excuse of why I do this, it's to save 40 million people. It's not, to hopefully one day become the Emperor of California. If y'all want to make me the Emperor of California, that's up to you, because as we've established, it will be up to the people to decide. It's not for me. It is not for Marcus. It's not for the Calext Congress. That's something the people have to decide. I am one of the many. Marcus is one of the many. Mike, Rabbi, we are all one of many. And either we are going to continue on, right? Stay focused on making it to step one. We're either going to do that together, or we're going to do things like get distracted and never take step one, bicker and fight over who gets to stand on top of this little molehill at the edge of the water, right? Well, if I can step on the molehill and be the king of the hill, then maybe I'll be able to make it, even though my legs are 6 times shorter than yours. We're looking at the potential of not getting the things that we need, not doing the things that we need to do, not being what we could actually be, not just for ourselves and our future generations, but even really for the world. And yeah, a lot of it comes down to there was, maybe someone could consider it a bluff, right? I mean, it's only a bluff if you don't actually intend to follow through. And obviously, some couple people have thought that there was a bluff going on. Really, what it was a warning shot across the bow with a less lethal than nuclear kind of option. We fired that warning shot because ultimately the tiny little dinghy, the little raft with those couple of people in it, I mean, it just seems overboard. It seems ridiculous. It's not something that's going to make me feel good to have to drop a thermonuclear device onto that and obliterate it for all time. I will if I am forced to. Don't get me wrong. You force me to do it, I will. And that's what separates Marcus and I. The last boss was the nice boss. He was good cop. I'm bad cop. You do not want to mess with this one. Trust me on that. And hey, since you don't trust me, you're probably going to try and step on my toes, at which point I'm shoving my boot up anyway.
Keep it PC for the kids.
Yeah. You get where I'm going, though.
Just saying.
I am not the nice guy. I am the get things done guy. And part of getting things done is firing the warning shot across that little inflatable raft's bow. And when we did, we threw up some flares into the air and let everyone know, hey, this is our territorial waters right here. You can either pass through with friendly intentions, or you can stay well clear. If you come into our territory with hostile intentions, we can open fire, as we have shown, and we will open fire. You in fact, will not get a warning shot because the first person to do it is the one who got the warning shot. Have they not been smart and not heeded the thing because they think that I'm bluffing? Yeah, of course. Which is why I am filing federal reports against them. Like, come on, people. You don't want ants, then don't play with sugar cookies in your bed, because that's how you get ants. You don't want to get nuked. You don't go invade the other territory. You just stay away. Just don't do it. Right? The one thing that I can quote Kamala on, just don't do it. Just
Jason is a lot
just
more
stay away
aggressive than I am. A lot more aggressive. I mean, it's a fault, but I like my faults. But Jason's a lot more aggressive, and I can tell you that I've already noticed some changes. Because of Jason, we aggressively responded to the Business Insider article saying that the movement was receiving funding and direction. And because of Jason, I mean, I came up with the material, but it was under Jason's direction and Jason's prompting. And he was like, we need to put this together. We need to get a statement out. And then we did a video and then we got it out there. And Sacramento Bee, when they covered this whole story about Russian interference, again, made sure to point out that they saw the Yes California video and that we were not mentioned in the article and the protest was peaceful. And so you could see the SAC-B article that came out after the Business Insider article did not follow the headline of the Business Insider article. And in that article from Sacramento Bee, they mentioned that they saw our Yes CA video. And if you look at it, it's kind of clear that Sacramento Bee saw our response to Business Insider and said, whoa, we are not touching that. You can look at how their headline does not match the Business Insider article. You can read the Sacramento Bee article on this, and you can see how they covered us and mentioned our video at the very end. And then we emailed Business Insider and pointed out under Jason's direction that we were a LLC. And I emailed them under Jason's direction saying, we're a Calext LLC. By the way, Sacramento Bee saw our video and chose to not follow your headline. And then something magically happened. I mean, I guess Santa Claus is real, because the very next day, Business Insider changed the title of their article from movement to a booster. What an incredible chance coincidence that after we came out with a do not screw around, we're an LLC and this isn't about us video, Sacramento Bee made sure to recognize our video and not follow the Business Insider headline. And after we pointed that out to Business Insider, they magically, instantaneously changed their headline. It's almost like people realize that we're not playing a game. And this is big boy talk, and we're at that level because we got 2 newspapers to not screw around. And I got to tell you, I was here in 2018. It's hard to do that. And we did that almost instantaneously under Jason's direction. So Jason is a lot more aggressive than I am. And I'm sure there will be problems with that strategy. But as I told Jason, we need to do things differently. And if we're going to make mistakes, let's make all new mistakes. Let's not make old mistakes. I'm against old mistakes. I'm for new mistakes. And so I have noticed, I don't want to say that it's perfect. I'm sure there'll be some caveats and problems, but right away I've noticed a different reaction under Jason's leadership.
It's almost like those other entities that actually have like a lot of money to lose if they get sued. It's almost like they said, oh, gee, we are actually in legally terrible waters and we will get annihilated if we go any further. Let's turn around. Let's backtrack this. Let's maybe fire off a green flare so they know, hey, we got your message. Please do not obliterate us. We're going back the other way. Sorry about that. Which just makes me have to point out that the few people who are being dumb and continuing to think that their tiny little rubber life raft is gonna make it further than some like huge corporate entity's big old battleship. Well, I mean, these people aren't really known for being rocket scientists anyway, but usually when you're in a boat, having a hole popped in it and letting the water in kind of leads to sinking, right? So how anyone could think that they wouldn't get sunk, I don't know. I want to say maybe they're just dumb. That sounds like it's maybe a little too harsh and name-cally. I just don't think they're as smart with legal stuff as they really should be for their own sake. Because, again, I am not afraid of going to court. I actually speak with judges very well. I'm one of those people, I guess, when I speak with judges, they know I'm sincere. They know I'm not trying to feed them some line of horse manure. And, you know, they end up receiving me really well. I can wear, you know, a Liberty spiked mohawk, a long, full length trench coat, you know, combat boots, dressed in all black. And the judge still will speak with me one on one and, you know, show some respect because I show respect. So, folks, I am like the last freaking person that you want to have taking you to court. I don't take people to court unless I know I can win. And guess what, Hal? You're forcing my hand. So, I'm not going to say too much more about it other than...
let's leave it there.
Yeah, the warning was put out. Entities that have offended before, like Sacramento Bee. I love pointing this part out. Sacramento Bee, years ago, while Marcus was the head of Calext, ran an article making it all about Lewis. Lewis is the head, this and that. No, you are undercutting a Tejano man who has worked damn hard. And you know what? They were unwilling to correct their error before. Abso-freaking-lutely unwilling. And Sacramento Bee was the first entity to go out and say, hey, we got your warning shot message loud and clear. We are not going to be the droids that you are looking for.
Right.
And so to anyone and everyone from the Sacramento Bee who might be hearing this now or at a later point when this video is posted, thank you. One, as someone who used to work for you when I was a kid as a paper boy, that was my first job ever, paper route for the Sacramento Bee. I was really disheartened to have to say, like, you know, yeah, my very first employer ever is run with this thing about I'm like paid for by Vladimir Putin or whatever, and they undercut my boss who's a great guy. And you know what? Now, that's not the story. Now the story is, yeah, you know, I can feel proud about having worked for them. I can feel good about my Sacramento Bee, my newspaper, one of the main sources of information in Sacramento Valley. I feel good about them again. And that feels good. Feels awesome to be able to say these people who I actually have some respect for, you know, they have stepped back into the reasonable zone. I love it. So thank you, Sac B. Thank you. Seriously. Mucho gusto.
And thank you, Sac B, for being reasonable. Thank you, the media, when you do your job. We don't have a problem with the media. We have a problem with misinformation. And, you know, I wanted to point out what... thanks, Daniel. Daniel loves what you just said. Daniel's a big fan of yours today. I've been seeing the comments from Daniel ever left and right. He's loving everything you're saying. I want to point out what Silent Mike said, which was that, you know, we're probably getting this slander because we did really big with Roe v. Wade. I've had a couple friends call me and they go, "Oh my God, the Russian spy." And I go, "Hold on. Let me send you the video in the comments. Every single person comes back with, oh, okay, I get it. It's nothing. And then I go, let me ask you. Our last big bump was around Kavanaugh being appointed to the Senate. To the Supreme Court. A little bit of a bump with the election with going to Biden, but a big bump with Kavanaugh. So we haven't really seen a bump since 2019, 2020. It's 2 to 3 years later. 2 to 3 years later. Last month, we had a big bump because of Roe v. Wade. So we have not had a bump in 2 to 3 years. Okay, 2 to 3 years, no bump. Suddenly, last month, we get a bump. And that's when the indictment comes. So 2 to 3 years, we've had no bump. And then coincidentally, a month right after we got our first big bump in 2 to 3 years, this multi-year long indictment comes down. Now, the question for me is, if it's a multi-year indictment, why did you release it the month after we had our first big bump? Why not 6 months ago? Why not a year ago? Why not 2 months ago? Why not 3 months ago? Why not 2 months into the future? Why out of a 2 to 3 year span, it coincidentally happens within 1 month of our major bump? What an incredible chance coincidence, because it slams the movement and spreads mischief, which is not fair. I'll also point out maybe it has something to do with this. So this came out recently.
Build that wall. Build that wall. Oh, wait. No, that's right. That was supposed to be Trump, not Biden.
Yeah. So
I'm confused. Am I supposed to be for the wall or against it? Is it racist or not?
If you're an American, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you are for racism, and you love the wall, you love refugee camps, you love war with China, and you love Latin kids in cages, because both the Republicans and Democrats did it, and none of the Californians, Pelosi, Harris, could criticize you. So an American value is children in cages and racist border walls and racist trade wars and refugee camps. But take a look at this from The Onion. Now, The Onion came out with this very recently, Friday. And it's a joke. I wasn't sure if we covered, because we're trying to make sure our issue's serious, but it is The Onion, and they're covering like why Californians should secede, and it's kind of tongue in cheek. Here's Ken, and I can't afford to move, but I've always wanted to live abroad, etc. So they did this recently, this Friday, and that's around the same time as the slander comes out. So to me, what that says is this is the system recognizing that we're getting some attention. So we're going to slam you with humor, and then we're also going to defame your name with the same old Russia trope. And we're going to do this within about 3.5 weeks of when you got big again.
And
yeah,
if I may, not only that, but it also, so like you pointed out, they've been building this case for a couple of years, right? And they have decided to, and now, I'm going to say this, it may sound a little controversial, people might not want to hear it, but when you observe the pattern, it's very clear. Something tumultuous happens, and something else is brought to light to kind of distract from this, tumultuous affair. So this investigation that's been concluded for some time, now all of a sudden they release it because what happened at that same exact moment? Joseph R. Biden, the sitting Democratic Party president, the return to decency, decided that he is going to go ahead and complete Trump's border wall for him. Oh, hey, Trump. Yeah. Hey, let me do you a solid, since we all know you're getting back in anyway. I'll just go ahead and finish your wall for you. And of course, the American taxpayers and not Mexico is the one paying for it. And of course, I have to point out, Madam Vice President from California went to Guatemala knowing many of the people coming across the southern border into the United States, specifically seeking asylum, are coming from Guatemala, or at least through Guatemala. And so she, as a Californian and as the second in command of the entire country and all of its holdings, which, that includes like Tonga and the U.S. Virgin Islands and the U.S. Falkland and Marshall Islands, like there's a lot of stuff other than the 50 United States that falls under the U.S. purview. And now she goes as the second in command of all of that, goes down there and tells people basically what I was saying about, you don't want to go to court with me. You do not want to make me take you to court because you will lose. There is no way about it other than you will lose. Terrible.
Okay.
And this is the effect of the message that she gives to people who are looking to come to the United States for safety. Please help us, protect us. You're like the reasonable country that accepts people in as long as you're willing to work hard and make a life for yourself, that, there's at least the opportunity or something, right? And the second in command says, no, don't make me do it. If you come up there, you are going to be in a world of hurt. Don't do it. Just don't. And this lady's from California. Now, I'll say it about legal stuff when I am legally in the right and someone else is legally in the wrong. But when it comes to saving human lives, there is only one right way to approach that. And that's, how can I be of service? And that's really what America was supposed to be anyway. How can I be of service to you, the people? And what has it turned into? How can I be of service as a senator or elected official of pretty much any level in kind to you, the corporation who is putting $10 million into my campaign fund?
I'd like to show you guys something if I could. So we were talking about how if you get big, you get slammed, right? So yes, California is getting really big. Calext is big in Roe v. Wade. And then all of a sudden, now's the time they got to release that indictment. It has to be now. Couldn't have been any other time in the last couple of years. It's got to be right now, right after the Roe v. Wade bump. What a coincidence. Can't prove anything. Let me show you something else. So recently, the topic of secession has been getting some attention because San Bernardino is trying to break off from California. So San Bernardino has been saying they want to secede from California, and that's been getting a lot of attention. That's been getting a lot of attention this week. And then all of the sudden, here's an editorial: California's never-ending secession movement and its grim ties to slavery. Oh, here we go again. San Bernardino is threatening to break away from California and start its own state. It's quixotic, whatever. Funny. Yeah, no, it's not going to work. Not going to work. But watch out, because in the 1850s, all the people in San Bernardino were Southern slavery owners and wanted secession in order to keep um, San Bernardino as a slave state. Now, they talk about how that history's there, and this is my favorite here. You go down to okay, that secessionist spirit survives to the present. Of course, today's would-be separatists of San Bernardino don't belong to any pro-slavery conspiracy. So it's the whole article is, oh, did you hear about San Bernardino seceding? Yeah, they're slavery guys, and they love slavery and the Confederacy, and they hate black people. Scroll, 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 and then let me show you. Scroll, 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 read, 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 read. There, towards the very bottom. Of course, there's no ties to slavery, but we just wanted to bring this point up. So that is a slam article on San Bernardino. No, I don't think San Bernardino should break off. And actually, we've had Calext protests out in San Bernardino where we saw Nazis protesting BLM. So there is definitely a history of racism. But the article doesn't bring up specific instances of racism. That might be one thing. What it says is, oh, did you hear about San Bernardino? Yeah, think slavery and Confederacy, because 150 years ago they did that. And then you have to read down to the bottom of the article to go, well, there's really no tie here, but we just thought it'd be cool to bring that up. So I don't like this movement, but that is the same case-by-case, step-by-step slam that they do to us. Let's take something horrible, attach it to your name, and then we'll put the actual facts almost at the very end of the article. BBC very famously did that to us. So,
and I would say for folks that when it comes to things like this, the way to approach it is with the sound, logical mind, right? So we look at this factoid at the end that says, yeah, you know, they don't have the attachment to the slavery and all of that. Okay, so we can put that over on the facts side. We look at the part where it says, you know, the history of the United States of America, right, with the slavery, that at one point in time, people in this area were pro-slavery or had slaves. So we should not ever think of them as good or decent folk or something is kind of the implied. So it really seems, you know, there's a lot of implication and not much information. So we put it under the opinion side, not the fact side. So when looking at what they want you to look at, it's clear what they want you to eat is their opinion. They want you to lap that up and forget about their fact that they threw in at the very bottom. So say we do run with the opinion part, well, this is where it gets bad for the United States of America, because that means more than half of the United States of America needs to be viewed by us as not okay, not cool, not kosher, bunch of racist slavers, bunch of evil people, right? And now, you know, there's a woman who used to work with us while she was here in California who's an amazing person who moved back home to Alabama. And, you know, it's partly out of financial family stuff, right? So, like, what? I'm supposed to hate her now because she lives in the South and I'm supposed to think that she's for slavery? I know this woman. I worked alongside of her. She's a great person. And I know this as a fact and not an opinion. So if I go with their opinion, I have to hate people unjustifiably. I have to think ill of more people than I really should unjustifiably. Was slavery ever good? No. Hell no. Would I like to see slavery come back again? Oh, hell no. But am I going to hate every single person in the South because slavery ever existed? No. I would have to hate all of England, pretty much all of Europe, really. Like the entirety of Europe. So don't swallow the opinion pill. Dissect fact from opinion. Information from, I guess we could say exasperation. Because, yeah, when you're looking at things like this, it's a really hot topic. It's a really touchy topic. Slavery is never a good thing, right? So it's never going to invoke any sort of goodness. People don't usually get all chipper when they start talking about slavery. Usually.
I just wanted
yeah,
to point
right
out
there.
That's kind of a standard fare you guys can see. You can see when it's slam time and how they do it. Horrible headline, massive, horrible suggestion, facts buried at the bottom of the article. No, I don't support that movement, but I can recognize what they're doing. It's the same thing they did to us. And it just shows this kind of the way the system operates. Jason, I wanted to say a few more things, if I may.
Totally.
So the main goal of Yes California and Calext is for California to be independent. That's our main goal. Although we are open to working with other groups in some eventual formation, but that is our main goal. Just want to be clear. Saturday night chat. Silent Mike brought up the idea of we have meetings Saturday night, and they're just kind of open, free-form chats. How do you feel about that idea? Rich loves it, so let me put that up.
Yeah, anytime I hear of anything like this, it makes me think of the fireside chats, fireside talks with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Did some good things and did some bad things. So, hey, America. The longest sitting president ever, they didn't have term limits. They actually came up with term limits because of him. Because had that man not died, he would have got voted in again. Which just says something. Like, not everyone in the country was in love with the man. But he was still set to get voted in yet again for like his 5th term. Because, sometimes you can please a lot of the people, but never can you please 100% of the people. There will always be someone who says, Russia, Russia, Russia. There will always be someone who says, yeah, but what about the unicorns in the rainforests with the whales? Ultimately, when you've got the majority, you've got the majority. And the will of the people is not a 100% countenance. It is the majority. And I'm bringing this up because Calext was at 42%, was it? 42% of the registered voting populace being at least willing to look into it. That's near majority. That's actually big enough to where it creates a mandate. Our elected officials should have been looking into this whole thing this whole time. Because of that, just with hey, this reputable poll says that nearly half of our people want something. Nearly half of our people are all on the same page about this. That's pretty hard to do when it comes to things. If you are the president of the US and you pick a, topic that needs some touching up, like maybe a third of the people will be happy about it, and not that the other 2/3 are up in arms about it, just that, the third will be usually the larger portion when comparing care, do not care, and totally opposed. Uh, Usually the 1/3 or so is going to be the bigger of the three categories. The fact that we got more than the third and that it was in the in favor of category, that says very clearly right there, Governor Newsom, if you would like to get elected again, you might want to get on board with the will of the people. Just saying. And, we've offered to Madam Lieutenant Governor Kounalakis that, hey, all she has to do is reach out to us or have one of her people reach out to us, and we will help to educate her on all of the ins and outs of the right to self-determination, the legality behind all of this stuff that we say and do, like all of it. We'll catch her and her team up to speed because that's in California's best interest. So, Governor Newsom, I'll go ahead as the CEO, as the head of Calext. I'll extend you the same offer, sir. If you are in line with the will of the people, understand that the will of the people is at least look into it very seriously and thoroughly. If you would like, I will gladly help to get you caught up to speed on all of this, even with my own personal issues aside and all of that. Like, I will set all of that aside because first and foremost, I am a Californian. First and foremost, why I do this is that I care about the 40 million people that we call our brothers and sisters. That's a lot bigger than me. That's a lot bigger than any personal issue that I could have with one individual. So I'll leave it there. And, hope to hear from you soon.
Okay. So how do we feel about Saturday night chats? Jason?
I love it. I'm totally for it. That's one of the things that helped FDR be FDR. Good stuff, bad stuff, all of it. Like, he at least made a very, very clear effort to listen to the people. You make the room. If you build it, they will come, right? He made the room for people to be able to call in. Do you think you can call the office of the White House and talk to Joseph Biden right now, today? No, you can't. He made it so that people anywhere in the country could call him and express their concerns, their desires, ask questions, get fears alleviated. Oh, but I'm really worried about my pension, this, that, the other. We need it for this, that, the other, and surviving. And then you hear from the president, the commander-in-chief, the highest elected authority of the land, telling you that you don't need to worry, that everything's going to be okay, that you will get through this because they're on it. I think if Newsom did that for California, he would probably have a lot more support from Californians. If Biden did that for all of America, he would probably see some renewed faith in his candidacy, even with all the damage he's done. It's a really good idea. And that's because the people usually see the value in it and place even more value on it. They see the potential that it has, and then they hold it in such high regard. Well, this is my time that I can reach out and get clearly heard by these people who I want to hear me clearly, no less. That's huge. I am all for it.
Okay. Well, that's. I would like to show you guys one thing if I could, if that's all right. Let me show you this. So we have a new studio we're working with, and we made some videos there. These are going to go up in the courses. Welcome to the fourth course, California on the World Stage. Were you aware that every California governor for the last couple of years has used the word nation state? Governor Brown, Governor Schwarzenegger, and Newsom have all said it, and they knew what they meant. Were you aware that during the last 3 American presidents, Obama, W. Bush, and Biden, Democrats or Republicans, California acted as an independent nation and refused to follow federal direction, regardless of who was in charge? Were you aware that multiple California professors, reporters on government policy, and experts on international law have said that California should seriously consider whether or not it could become a nation? This last section, we're going to show you all of the rational actors who've already said we should do this. So that's just an example. There's 4 of them. And there's going to be loaded up in the courses, but it's just an upgrade on the courses. Just wanted to show you guys. We might be working with that podcast studio more. Like I said, we're in talks with them to have an auditorium state situation where Jason and I could give speeches or other people. So, oh, Daniel, thanks. He likes the studio. So I'll leave it there. Jason, I'd like to end at 2:30. That doesn't mean we have to end the meeting, but just end the broadcast so that it's not, a super long video for people to watch. So we got about 6 minutes, and then I'd like to end the meeting if that's okay. So I'll turn it back to you. Last minute comments, Jason.
Yeah, so just fair warning, personal stuff to do today. It's 96 degrees here where I'm at. So gonna go out to a lake, put on my Hawaiian board shorts, nice bright orange board shorts. Dip my feet in the water, have fun, cool off. Maybe work on my tan because I am very pasty white. That being said, I would like to put it out there that transliteration, graphic design, speech writing, social media management, social media account management, these are kind of the 4 biggest positions that we need someone on right now. We are working on generating funding so that we can pay people for these sorts of services. We've got a graphic artist who is coming on board, has been in discussions, has already said that they want in, they are willing to. So now it's just fine tuning the actual agreement, right? We also have a graphic designer who worked with us in the past, did some great work, is going to be working with us again, mainly with Marcus. So those are two huge, awesome updates right there. But it doesn't mean that we don't still have room for graphic design. Many hands make light work. Many brains or many heads make light thinking. Two graphic design artists are better than none. However, just imagine if we had a small team, right? We would probably have many more graphics coming out in quicker succession, more NFTs going up on the market, right? It becomes exponentially incredible. For the transliteration, part of it is for things like this video, to get a transcript of it, translate it all into myriad other languages: Armenian, Greek, Farsi, German, French, Spanish, Italian, Finnish, Somalian, you name it. I might even like to see like Gaelic on there. That would be pretty cool. Maybe our recently acquired friends and connections from the Welsh independence movement might be able to help with some of that. Just throwing that out there. For transliteration, though, we also could really use it on our social media stuff. It's kind of the place where the social media, the graphic design, and the speech writing, where it all blends in together, is with this transliteration. I really only speak English very, very well. All the other languages that I know bits and parts of, it's that. I know bits and parts of it. Marcus has heard me try to speak Spanish more than once. What I do say, I can say properly. I can give myself credit for that. I cannot hold a full-on conversation. I cannot translate in real time either. And so if we... Oh, Klein Deutsch. Jawohl. So like the graphics, if we put out a graphic and there are words on it, it would be nice to have that same graphic with the words just in whatever other languages, so that our Armenian brothers and sisters in California, our Greek brothers and sisters in California, our German, French, Spanish, Mandarin and Cantonese speaking Chinese brothers and sisters of California, I want all Californians to be able to see, hear, understand the message that we have so painstakingly put together over these last several years. A lot of it, we can say, hey, you know, there was a lot of trial and error for a while, fine tuning. But we've got the message fine tuned. All we really need is to be able to get it out there a lot further, a lot more widely. And that's pretty much only going to happen with good transliteration. And then speeches, too, right? Some of these speeches that I've written, that I've given, ones that I send it over to Marcus, and his much more presentable face and self goes and reads the speech off in front of camera for everyone. How awesome would it be if it wasn't just heard in English? Or if maybe you're hearing it in English, you could still read it in whatever language you're most comfortable with. Because ultimately, the thing that matters the most is getting that message out there, getting it heard, getting it understood, so that we can all take that first step together. Sí, se puede. Vive todos Californios.
All right. All right. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to end the broadcast. You can stay if you want. We're going to end the broadcast, though. And we will see you next week.